am finishing up my last month at my workplace before transferring to another location in another state, and my boss has asked me to train my replacement. I usually have no problem with training, as I have trained roughly 50 or so new people over the last 3 years, mostly with successful results, but this new guy is another level of weird. We'll call him Charlie. I was at my desk and handling some business with a client when he came in for his interview. He dressed nicely, but it was 2 sizes too large for him. As the pants were so baggy, he had to keep pulling them back up, and the sleeves of his blazer dangled over his hands. He didn't shave and had man bun. My boss has always been the type to never judge a book by its cover, and after the interview, brought Charlie over to me. I gave a polite smile and shook his hand while my boss introduced us, and asked if I would mind training him to replace me once I do my big move and transfer. I asked Charlie to be at work at 7 a.m. the next morning so we could get a head start on the day's work. I got to work at 6:30 to prepare everything so when Charlie got there, we could start straight away. By the time 7:30 rolled around, I asked my boss where he was, and my boss didn't know and called Charlie's number. Charlie said he was just leaving home to come in and that his alarm didn't go off, and apologized. I had missed 3 calls from clients already, and my coworkers had to pick up the slack. In my line of work, we are paid salary but make extra through commission work. So I am griping about the possible $1,000 I could have made that day. Charlie finally pours in at 8:40, looking unwashed and barely piecing himself together. His hair was a mess, he smelled like he hadn't showered and appeared like he hadn't slept much at all. I was already annoyed but began the start of training him. We got 10 minutes into it and he started making comments about my looks, talking about my hair and my skin, asking me how much I weighed and if I was single. I told him that kind of talk wasn't appropriate at work and continued on with training him. For the remaining time before lunch, he is scooting ever closer to me, and I swear he was sniffing my hair more than once. It was weird and creepy. I never take a lunch break, but on this day I needed to, just to get a little space from Charlie. I go to sit in my car and talk to my best friend on my phone when there was knocking on my window. I look over and it's Charlie. He asks if it would be okay if he sat in my car with me, and of course I said no. He begins to pout, saying it's typical that I would say that, and guilt me into at least hanging up with my best friend and getting out of the car. I asked him what he meant by that, and he said that he thought I was beautiful and I should be his girlfriend. I told him that I'm engaged and will be moving away in a month, going on to explain why I am training him to be my replacement after I leave. He goes quiet, nods with his head hanging, and walks back inside. After my lunch break, we finish up the day of training without incident, and as I am walking back to my car to leave, Charlie stops me. He said that he should have expected no less from me, as all of the pretty girls reject him and all he can get are ugly, fat girls that hold no appeal to him. I told him I am so very sorry for that, but there was nothing I could do for him, and from now on he needed to maintain a professional attitude with me, or I would have to turn over his training to my boss, who would pawn him off on the other senior rep, Tom, who is a guy and would twist Charlie into a pretzel if he heard how Charlie spoke to me. I went home and told my best friend everything. Because my bestie is nosy, she found Charlie's Instagram and Facebook pages. Both are littered with women bashing, racism, and links to incel-related Reddit posts that worried the fuck out of me. One of his latest Facebook posts is him complaining about getting a job because his mother is about to kick him out of the house if he doesn't start contributing. Just today, his post mentions the slut at his job who was training him, me, and if she wasn't so stupid and fat, really now, he'd give her a chance. Not a fucking chance in hell, I am scared. I'm going to inform my boss, because I don't want my soon-to-be former clients dealing with Charlie. I don't want him having access to their addresses and phone numbers. I also don't want him anywhere near me or my work. I'm super paranoid about these types of things, and if you read my older posts on other subreddits, you would understand. I won't bother to confront him because I know that could just escalate things, so I will let my boss handle it. I was going to just wait until the morning to speak to my boss about Charlie, but I got 3 back-to-back phone calls on my cell phone, each with a coinciding voicemail. Each one more disturbing than the last. The first was him asking me if I would be interested in seeing a movie, an awkward silence, and then him saying I smelled nice before hanging up. The second was him annoyed that I didn't bother calling him back and that he'd be having a stern talk with me at work. The third was him telling me that I as a woman shouldn't be working at all and that my place is in the home and I am a baby factory. Me, my bestie, her fiancé and my fiancé are all understandably pissed off. I just called my boss and sent him the screenshots and let him listen to the voicemails. He is now pissed and apologized to me. Then the both of us called Charlie on three-way. Charlie at first denied everything, but when confronted with the screenshots and voicemails, he went on the offensive, saying that I was leading him on and that I was just a dopey-eyed woman who didn't deserve respect and I should know my place as a woman. My boss called him a piece of shit, I never heard him cuss before, and told him if he showed up to work, that he would kick his dick into the dirt for speaking about me that way. We heard what sounded like crying, and then Charlie hanging up. My boss apologized again and said he would see me bright and early tomorrow. I don't even want to go in, but I'm a fucking workhorse and ain't gonna let some wimpy and whiny little bitch scare me off from making my money. Fuck that guy.